Day friends, welcome back. It's a dull, cool day today, but I want to give you now a little tour of the annual veggies that I have growing. So let's start here on the deck with the tomatoes in the pots. Stupidaceae, they're coming along nicely. It's quite a stocky little plant. As you can see, it's got several blooms now. We've had some hot days and a cold front has just come down, and so until it warms up, but that's like Tuesday or something, it's supposed to warm up again. They'll be just sitting here like this now. On both plants, growing nicely, no sign of disease. This is the silver fir tree. There's a few flower buds up on top. All seems to be a nice healthy plant. This one is the Beaver Lodge Slicer. It too is stocky like the Stupidaceae. This is the Latta. It has a little thinner stem. Has some spotting on the leaves back there. And some flower buds. There's some open facing the other way. Right there. This one is furthest north. It's a nice looking one. It hasn't grown as much as the other ones. It has put on quite a few flower buds there. And Centennial Rocket is the first one to get a tomato to start to grow. That's a Centennial Rocket tomato. There's another fruit there that had been pollinated, but it's not growing. Like I said, the temperatures have dropped again now, so they will not be doing anything for the weekend up until about Tuesday. Don't remember the reason I don't have a 42 days outside in a bucket. But that's the 42 days. He's not growing very fast at all. So far, I'm not really pleased with 42 days. That's the cantaloupe plant that I bought. It'll be going still right now, of course. Latta, once again. Remember, the other one had some leaves with spots on it. This one does too. But otherwise, the plant looks healthy. And this one has a ton of blossoms open. I have another muskmelon plant down below. That's the grapevine I put here. It's going to flower and bear grapes. So this is the silver fir tree. He's growing nicely here as well in the soil by the south side of the house. And it looks like that's not a silver fir tree. Oh well. Here's the baby pan pumpkin that's growing fairly well. We're still waiting to see. You've got the red cabbage, the Copenhagen market, broccoli and cauliflower. Here we have Centennial Rocket tomato again. And once again, it's nice and stocky plant. It's got quite a bunch of blossoms on it. Furthest north, he's shorter, but he's growing better here. And there's a bunch of blossoms building up, and a few open there. Beaver Lodge Slicer, he's growing, I think he's doing better there than he was in the bucket up on the deck. Once again, a nice stocky plant. Stupicet, growing a nice stocky plant. Tiny Tim is kind of funny, and maybe I should take this leaf here off because it's laying on the ground. He's growing in full sunlight. He's tiny. I have some more out, as you know, and they're all staying nice and short and tiny like that. It's got a ton of little flowers growing on top of it. And in these frames, also, there's the watermelon. That's not doing anything now in this temperature. The sunflowers. There's another watermelon there. I'm going to have to put a stake in beside the sunflowers because you see they're laying over. There's a melon or a pumpkin of some sort growing there. I don't remember planting it there, but there it is. This is one of the national cucumber pickles, the best of the plants I have. The rest of them are not doing very well at all, but I have a very good chance of getting cucumbers off that one. The melon plants, they were doing fine and they're putting on more flowers, so if the weather warms up again and stays warm, I might get a melon this year. You know, on the inside here, peas are doing nicely. They haven't started to flower yet. I expect to see a flower on them at any time at all now. I don't have anything planted except for the sunflowers every 2 feet and those peas. So I was wondering what I should put there. Maybe sprinkle lettuce, maybe sprinkle radishes. What I would like is some low-growing crop, like a radish, that I could pickle when I harvest them and make a bunch of bottled produce from them. But I don't know what I should put there. Got any ideas? Coming along this section of the fence, of course I have the peas and the sunflowers. There's a nasturtium growing right there. And last year I tried, so this is the second year I tried with these. And last year I had like 3 plants and that's as far as they got. Here I have a nicer one. Now we're on the other side of the rose bush. And that one, he may grow up to become something worth talking about. We shall see. But over here by the gate post, there's this one. You see, so he is doing nicely. And since I'm here, I'll continue along here now. I have a fall sunflower, but I am getting, see, this is a California poppy. One here, one there, and one there. I'm not sure what that is yet. But I have 4 California poppy there. Once I get them to grow all the way to seed, then I've got them there because they self-seed. And here is the 5th California poppy. It's over beside the pine tree.
On the outside of the center portion, of course, that's my lapine. And oh yeah, let's go inside.
There's a couple of plants growing right here. See, this is actually 3 separate plants. This one's putting on a little flower already. So let them grow, and then come fall, I'll take them and I'll transplant them to wherever I want them to go.
But as I was saying, on the outside, I have fall sunflower. That's the Hasta Hurley charm. Go past the combine, and I do have a California poppy growing right there. That's the best of the ones down here. Hasta Hurley charm. There's a little California poppy there, struggling along. That's the biggest of the fall sunflower. There's another struggling California poppy. So that'll look nice later this summer. Because the bushcrop cucumber had sprung up in the beginner to gardener bed I'm doing, I planted 10 seeds along here. And the other thing was that prior to me planting them there, a cucumber had come up here, but then it got bit off by something. So we go along here now. These, I think, are chamomile. Looks like it, and when he opens up, we'll find out. But one of the cucumber plants that I set is coming up right now. When you look back that row, you'll see a empty spot here underneath the pine tree where there's no sunflowers. That's because I didn't plant any sunflowers there. As for the spaghetti squash plants, they're doing well. They haven't started to flower yet, but they're doing well. This is the best one. See, he's planted back here. He's growing out, and he is starting to get flower buds. That's not a flower on it. And this one is getting flower buds as well. That one's growing nicely. This, I think, is the best of them. He's actually curled around and coming back this way with a few buds on him. I did lose one right there, and this is about the least healthy of the bunch, besides of course the one that's dead. Too much to do, too little time, so I just went through and I tore out the big weeds out of the strawberries. They are beginning to produce. Quite a lot, in fact. Now I'm going to go around the other side of this bed, because you see, this is a asparagus. And I planted initially 3 asparagus along the back end of the bed. So there's this little one growing here.
I don't think I planted that there. I think this one is a seed that came from the other ones. I've been looking every year. I guess they're about 4 years old now, and I haven't gotten a spear good enough to harvest for food yet. Up here, we've got strawberries almost ripe. This is the second strawberry patch. There was more than one there. Another one here. So strawberries will be coming online soon.
This is the parsley seed plant. There is a caterpillar that likes the parsley seed heads. It gets in there and it spins a web, a silk tent type thing, and draws the heads together, and sometimes it'll draw leaves in together with it. Preventing the heads from opening up. And of course that's what happened there, and the head just rotted. And here's another one now, they have it pulled right in. If I were to break up their webbing, see, looks like there was only one in there, and he had that drawed right together. Now the head is open. I don't know yet how to go about taking care of that. This is the one by the outside bed, and I was here earlier and actually picked at these a bit to get some of the caterpillars out of it. There's not much damage done to these two. These are the two volunteers that was in the other carrot bed. And you can see what the main flower humble is supposed to be like. Nice and big, and each one of these little ones will spread out as well, and you'll have a huge head of white flowers. The potato is coming along fine. I have to mow the meadow again now, so I'm going to put another layer of mulch. You see this one in here, he was very small when I put the initial one there, so there's hardly any mulch there. And the same goes for a few places down here. Some places you can even see the soil still. The beans are growing nice, and the mustard that was there, it's most of it is flowering now. But of course, what's the main part of this bed is these, the Jacob's cattle beans, which are starting to take off and look really nice. 2 years in a row now I got a very good crop out of Jacob's cattle beans. These are black turtle. They didn't do well last year, and well, you see what they are this year. They're not doing that great. Of course, don't count your chickens. We'll have to just wait for the summer to be out and see what they do. Because we come here again, and these are the soldier beans. So you can look back in my videos of last year. I got a good crop from soldier. I got a good crop from Jacob's cattle, and I got practically nothing from black turtle last year. And so far it looks like it's heading that way this year. Now, with respect to the carrots, these are the two beds. This bed, go along like this, you can see that there are quite a few carrots growing all down the bed. but there's also quite a few spaces. I reseeded all the spaces on this bed. On this bed, there was like 5 carrots growing or something. Now the trees that you see here, that's the Osage orange. I'm going to talk about those when I talk about the Food Force tree tour. But the boards there, I put those trees in there, and so I can still plant carrots in there. So I reseeded the whole bed in carrots, and I put those boards over the top of each row to keep it moist until it germinates. So that's one of the tricks they do to increase the chances of your carrots germinating. Beets. It looks like I'm going to have a very good crop of beets this year. I don't like potatoes growing up as volunteers because if I'm trying to plant smaller stuff, potato grows up and overtops everything. I don't want to remove it since it's growing there. I want to let it grow and harvest the potatoes in the fall. I'm going to be putting my potatoes in the same beds every year from now on, unless I do have problems with doing that, and then I'll change my ways when problems arise. That's the first bed. This bed they're smaller, but they're still doing well as far as I'm concerned. Of course, this is the exciting one. So all those taller plants you see there now, that's the sugar beets. I do have some spaces. There's one here, but there are also places where I'll have to thin out the beets. So I'm going to try to transplant them by taking a lot of soil around them and poking them down in a pre-made hole in where there's spaces. Onions are still doing well. This, of course, is another source of excitement because I haven't had one of these yet. This is a pine berry. And you see the seeds are turning red and the fruit is turning white. It starts out, of course, like this. And I'll have a bright white fruit with red seeds when it's ripe. I put this board here to keep them up off the soil and hopefully get a good pine berry to taste very soon. The plants are growing nicely. And we are beside the beet seed plants now. I remember last year they had started to go to put out the flower buds like this, and it was ever so long. See what happens this year. Got a kale plant there that I cut the top off. It was going to flower and it's putting out bigger leaves. The one on either side of it I didn't bother to cut, and they stayed with the smaller leaves and went up to flower, so I'll just collect seed from that. Rhubarb, you got to keep up on it. You see what happens now. I have a mass of rhubarb here, and the ones down underneath, they're not getting any sunlight, so they're going soft. And the leaves are dying, so I have to come out and harvest this back again. Here's a thing of beauty. That's my little square where I have the patty pan white scallop squash planted and the Morton Hurley cucumber.
This is a Morton Hurley cucumber, and as you can see, it's got female flowers coming on it. There's several on there, in fact. And look at how well this patty pan, this white scallop squash is growing. There's another Morton Hurley cucumber growing really well. White scallop squash, Morton Hurley cucumber, white scallop squash. So I lost a cucumber over there, and then there's a squash plant here that's not going to come to anything. 1, 2, Dill's Atlantic giant pumpkin, still doing fine. And if you go over around our potato towers, you see this one. It was starting to take off, and it's got a couple of flower buds for male flowers on it. Just in the last few hours, there's been a slug here and ate on that leaf. These are the other 4 Dill's Atlantic giant. This one even had a female flower bud started, and it's going to fall now. I didn't expect that one to come to anything anyway. Sometimes the first 1 or 2 female flowers that they put out don't actually fully develop. As far as these herbs go, the bottom of the cup, as you might remember, had just a small hole in it. But I thought that down in the soil, that they would stay as moist as the rest of the soil. That was not the case. And I lost one St. John's wort. The other 2 still has green on them. And I lost 1 Greek oregano and almost the second one before I realized it. These 2 holes I've taken up, and I've put it over in the food forest, the 2 Greek oregano. You'll see that in the later video. Lavender is a little tougher plant, and as well as savory. The lovage over there seems to be doing fine. But anyway, back to the pumpkins. The plants are doing very well, and I think I'm going to get a couple of Dill's Atlantic giant pumpkin this year. Here's the butternut squash, and you see what I mean. I've got potato weed growing here. This is a red potato. You can tell by the coloring of the veins, the reddish veins. And there's another potato there. And it was like 3 or 4 years ago I had potatoes there. A lot of the other greenery you see there is that lemon balm I've been talking about. The zucchini is starting to flower already. So it's just male flowers yet. All the plants are doing well. And these are 2 bush crop cucumbers. So you can see I didn't have very many bush crop cucumbers either. I just got those 2. So the other ones over there are Morton Hurley. As far as the cole crops go, well, I'll figure out how to grow them one day. This bed I decided to leave empty, except for there's those 2 rows of turnip growing there. Then as you walk up here, we've got Northern Reds in those 2 beds. We have Kennebec in that bed.
Here's rutabaga growing well. And rutabaga growing well. That is dark green. I think that's zucchini dark green in this bed. I gotta check my records. The herbs. I've taken actually several branches off of that making tea. Look at this guy. He's growing up, so I'll have to harvest the herbs again and cut off all the leaves down the bottom on this parsnip, this parsley, same as I did before. It is going up now to put on a flower stalk. That's okay. And the other plants on either side of it is coming along just nicely. This one, I harvested a bit. I was making a pot of soup. I come out and got a few sprigs, but it is taken right off. I've got to give it a ring around and see how I'm going to shape that. The oregano is growing back. As you can see, the bunches of chives, they get shorter and smaller as it goes in. That's going deeper and deeper into shade when you go that way. I did harvest a couple of sprigs off of this lovage and put it in my soup. It's a very nice herb, that is. And so now the thyme, as you can see now, it's growing wonderful. It was just drowned right out by the other thyme last year, but now it's growing beautifully there. It's got nice and a lot of light. Sage is doing well. And here's another tiny Tim. Staying, well, tiny. I took all the dead stuff out of this, cleaned it all up, and this lavender's looking nice now. And this one way out in the sun, of course. This is the one that grew back the best. And see, this is something that I'm trying to grow as, basically as a weed around the garden and harvest whatever ones I want. Just wandering about the garden. Chamomile. I have several plants growing there now. I don't think I'm going to get any to harvest this year, but next year maybe I'll have a lot of plants growing around and have a lot to harvest. And yeah, this is the Yukon Golds. Most of them are up now. You see? There is some that are not showing yet, but almost every one of them are showing. Some of them are up actually quite high. Here's two more Tiny Tim, growing nice and stocky as Tiny Tim do, with a lot of flowers on them. I think I'll get a bunch of fruit from those. Really happy with my garlic. So they're starting to grow scapes now. So what I do, I wait, they'll make a full curl and start coming back out. Then I'll harvest them, and then it's like 3 weeks after that or something that you're supposed to pull up the bulbs. And there's 8 leaves on each plant. They say that the number of leaves represents the number of bulbs in your garlic. The other thing I wanted to mention, I was weeding here earlier today and I looked over. Look at the size of the stalk on that thing. It's huge.
There's an awful big parsnip down there. Hope you enjoyed my attempt at giving you a good tour of the vegetables. As it is, the gardens are doing really well this year, and we will be excitedly watching them as they grow. Hope you'll hit that thumbs up for me on your way out, and I'll see you in the next video.